Hi everyone, this is Francis Maydiatan, a second-year student from BSED major in Filipino. Based from the novel of Jose Rizal, No Limitang Here, here are my observations about the following aspects. First, government and officials. Second, church and religion. Third, education. Fourth, romantic relationship or courtship. Fifth, hobbies. Sixth, the rich and the poor. And the last, life in the city. So let's start to the first, which is the government and officials. Government and officials. The novel uncompromisingly exposes Spaniards in the Philippines. The government was administered by self-seekers, motivated by the desire to enrich themselves at the expense of the people. Honest and sincere officials were quite few. Corruption became so rampant as a consequence. Banditry became a way of life for many due to the corruption and brutality of the Guardia Civil. Friars used the Catholic Church to amass wealth and to perpetuate themselves into power. In today's Philippines, the government and officials are in charge. The President, Vice President, Cabinet, Executive Departments, autonomous agencies, boards, commissions, and committees are all part of the executive branch. The country is led by the President. He or she is the Philippines' head of state, Prime Minister, and Commander-in-Chief of the country's armed forces. So let's proceed to the second one, which is church and religion. Jose Rizal's political novel, No Limitang Here, examines how Spain's colonization of the Philippines allowed the Catholic Church to dominate and rule the region. The Spanish friars' abuse of power is evident early in No Limitang Here. In today's world, the church and religion are important. At least 88% of the population is Christian, with 79% belonging to the Catholic Church and 9% to Protestantism, Orthodoxy, Restorationist, and Independent Catholicism, as well as other denominations like the Iglesia Filipina Independiente, Iglesia ni Cristo, Seventh-day Adventist Church, United Church of Christ in the Philippines, Members Church of God International or NCGI, and evangelicals. Third, education. Private schools are able to offer better facilities and education, but are also much more expensive. There is a wide variety of private schools, including all boys and all girls schools, religious schools, non-sectarian schools, Chinese schools, special schools, and international schools. Due to economic difficulties, there has been a recent increase in the popularity of homeschooling and open universities in the Philippines. So the current Philippine educational system begins with 6 years of compulsory schooling, grades 1 to 6, which is divided into 2 levels, each of which is 3 years long. The primary level is the first of 2 levels, while the intermediate level is the second. Fourth, romantic relationship or courtship. It's engagement season once again, which means jewelry stores, restaurants, and other special venues are abuzz with people planning to pop the question. The same very much applies to the Philippines, as many couples today get engaged similarly to their counterparts in the West, as many local romantic comedies will show you. As in the traditional form, modern Filipino romance begins with a teasing stage undertaken by friends. Prospective couples are now introduced to one another through a mutual acquaintance or at a party. Modern technology has also found its way into modern courtship rituals. Fifth is hobbies. In the novel, since it is not modern world yet, they had mentioned that reading books, drinking coffee, talking with friends, and doing household chores and work is the form of pastime under job. So in present time, first is basketball. Basketball is the most popular pastime in the Philippines, and you heard that correctly. Everyone gets involved whether they're playing or watching. Why? It all begins in the classroom. The game is taught to children in schools, and the sport follows them all the way through high school. Teenagers can be seen playing the sport in alleyways, street corners, and gyms all across the Philippines. This is due to the fact that the sport does not require any expensive equipment, making it accessible to young people from all walks of life. As a result, it is difficult to find a Filipino who does not participate in it. Having a good time in the mall. Bumming around the mall may bring up memories of classics like Clueless and even Never Been Kissed from the 1980s and 1990s. But in the Philippines, malls are visited for a very different reason. Although the weather is pleasant and warm throughout the year, the sun can be too much at times, especially when combined with the humidity. So teens and adults alike will pack their belongings and head to the mall for the day to cool off. There's no need to buy anything. The goal is to take advantage of the free air conditioning and, of course, window shop while you're there. Just make sure you look your best because it's common for residents to flee to large retail malls on extremely muggy days. Then, karaoke. In the Philippines, karaoke reigns supreme as a uniquely Asian hobby. There are various karaoke arcades and venues that line the streets and retail malls. Just like in Japan, where many good and awful singers meet for a fun night out. If you're not the next power ballad sensation, don't worry. Your friends and strangers will support you because it's the confidence to get out there and sing that counts, not the trained or untrained pipes you may or may not have. If you're visiting the Philippines, visit a karaoke bar for a truly authentic experience. Last is going out to eat. Eating out is regarded as a special occasion or a reward for a job well done in the Western culture. Filipinos, like many other Asians, eat out frequently, whether for special occasions or is a midday snack. It's almost harder not to eat out than it is to eat out, with food stalls lining the streets and local sellers announcing their daily specials. Certain dishes, for example, may be more expensive to prepare at home than to purchase. Many sellers prepare a large quantity in the morning and sell only that one item throughout the day at a very low price. Eating out is also a terrific opportunity to meet new people. So if you visit the Philippines, you'll almost certainly run into locals at every restaurant because it's a culture tradition to enjoy the dining experiences no matter how casual. The rich and the poor. In his work, No Limit Angere, Rizal described the current socio-economic inequalities. The backdrop was the Philippines in the 19th century when the Catholic hierarchy, or Spanish or mixed, ruled the archipelago spiritually, politically, and commercially. So, in the present time, the Philippines is mainly thought of as a recent industrialized country with an economy that is transitioning from agriculture to services and manufacturing. GDP, or gross domestic product by purchasing power parity, was predicted to be 1.47 trillion in 2021, ranking in 18th in the world. So the last one is life and city. Jose Rizal depicts Manila as dismal, unmodern, and unlovely in his work Nole Mitanghere. The plaza streets have with dirt. The unpaved streets choke people with dust on dry days and turn into sludge on wet days. And the architecture is uninteresting. So in present time, Manila, the Philippines capital, is frequently used as a launching pad for exploring the country's wonderful beaches, breathtaking islands, and distinctive natural wonders. However, just in Manila, there are several tourist attractions to see. It's a lovely city full of surprises and incredible things to do.